And welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And I wanted to throw a little spotlight on this new release that I enjoyed. All of these last 6 videos that I have done have been first-time watches. Even the old ones. But yeah. This is the creature feature Sting. First I thought because her name was Charlotte, it was some kind of Charlotte's Web thing, but maybe that was just an homage, right? But this is Sting. Sting was released in 2024. Like I had to wait to see that. It was released in 2024. It was directed by Kiah Roache-Turner. It was written by Kiah Roache-Turner. It stars Naomi Hazlehurst, Jermaine Fowler, and Alyla Browne. Alyla? That doesn't look like an I. Alyla Browne. Can't you people do something? Can't you all just take Cher's advice? Okay? She's just Cher. Can't you just be Naomi? You would make it so much easier on us people who do this if you would just chill out with your weird ass names. My name is Rusty. How hard is that? Okay? Sometimes I think that sometimes I think these women, when they're laying in the bed in the hospital after they have just given birth, that all they do is just look over there next to them and pick a name off a medicine bottle. You know, like, what's that? Just call him Alezalazapam. Okay. Really, that's what I think happens sometimes. So, Sting was released in 2024. It opens with you hear like these news reports about an asteroid that has come close to Earth, you know, and we see an old lady who keeps calling and complaining about the noise in walls to exterminator. And so you see this exterminator named Frank arrives, and he's already pissed off because she's obviously had first of all, she's got dementia, so she doesn't realize that she's calling multiple things, and he sees another van in the parking lot, so he knows she's already called somebody else to deal with her bug situation. So he arrives. He's kind of a little pissed at that, and ends up. It was really cool, spooky scene where he gets pulled into the vent by some creature, you know, that you don't really know what it is. And then we see it flashes back to 4 days earlier, where we actually see some of these little meteorites like coming really close to Earth from that asteroid, I guess. And one of them, it's really small, but it like crashes through a window and through this old lady's in an apartment building and through her dollhouse, and it lands and it opens up, and this little bitty spider comes out of it. Kind of looks like a black widow to me. But it didn't, I don't think it was like an hourglass, but it had like a red spot and it looked like a black widow. But it crawled out, and we're introduced to Charlotte, who for some reason is so dangerous too, but also very perverted. She likes to crawl around in the air ducts of an apartment building, and she looks into people's apartments through the vents, you know, and I'm like, Well, first of all, you're not 4, you're 12. And if you were a boy, they would arrest you for that because that's some perverted shit. So, I mean, I don't know if any of you thought about that aspect, but this 12-year-old kid running around in the air ducts in an apartment building looking through the vents and very clearly seeing everything people do in their apartment is just a little bit Ted Bundy-ish to me. But I digress. So she likes to go there, do that, and that's also one of the ways that she gets into her grandmother's apartment. She lives there with her mom and her mom's husband, Ethan. Her dad is gone, supposedly in Thailand. But she gets into her grandmother's apartment, where her aunt also lives. So she finds that little spider, and she puts it in a matchbox, and she keeps it. And she goes back, and, the aunt is like a demon. I mean, you want to talk about, 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil, then got nothing on this woman. You know what I'm saying? The auntie. So they blame her for messing up the dollhouse, and stuff. He comes in and we're introduced to him. We're also introduced to her mom. And she also has a 6-month-old baby brother between them. So it'd be her half-brother, I guess. But, so yeah. So she keeps this. She likes, actually, she is pretty talented. She wrote a comic book, and Ethan illustrates it. And they even got a deal, to actually market that comic book for 45,000 copies and stuff. So that was pretty good. So he's doing that while at the same time he is also the maintenance man for the building. So he's also having to do all the maintenance and supervisory stuff. The aunt owns this building. So, yeah, he's under her thumb. So as we get used to the spider, all of this setup work, we get used to this spider. She's getting really fascinated with it. She feeds it. She finds out that it makes these strange little noises, like mimicking the noises that she makes. She sort of trains it to make a certain noise to let her know when it's hungry. And it starts growing at a pretty phenomenal rate. When it gets about that big, it even starts letting itself out of its jar and going and doing shit. It kills the aunt's parrot, which is really cool. Well, I mean, the act isn't really cool. I'm just saying the scene was really cool. So, that's what ends up starting these phone calls to Frank, is all of this shit starts happening. So the spider, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Sting keeps getting bigger and bigger. So, yeah, Frank comes, Charlotte ends up telling Frank about the spider, and he's like, what the fuck is that? So that was a pretty cool scene when she introduced him to and showed him that. Found her dead parrot, right? Mutilated and dead. Enter Frank, coming often for these infestations. We see after she had told Frank about the pet, that night it got out, and it's a lot bigger. It got out and went and killed this lady named Maria, and that was a really cool kill scene. Bit her on the cheek, which paralyzed her like spiders do, and then crawled inside of her mouth and eats them from the inside out, and that was pretty gross. And Charlotte doesn't know any of this is going on, and it just goes back into its jar before she wakes up. So she ends up finding out how big it's gotten, she ends up going to the weird guy, the little biology student, Eric, and telling him about it and showing him about it and wanting to know whether or not she can buy one of his fish tanks because it's too big for the jaw. He ends up convincing her to let him transfer it into a tank. It won't take long, and he'll bring it to her when he finds the right tank. Really, though, his scientific brain was going, and he was wanting to, what is this thing? So he ends up being a rat supreme. Ethan does end up finding Maria's body. The cops come. What the fuck happened here? Eric ends up going down there and calling Ethan and telling him he needs to talk to him. And he goes and tells him on Charlotte. Tells him about the spider. All of this kind of crap, which makes Ethan confront Charlotte. Charlotte freaks out. How dare you take her from me? She insults the hell out of him, which causes him to give it right back to her because she starts bringing up her dad and crap like that. And he's like, really, is that why he visits all the time? And she's like, you're an asshole. He's in Thailand. And he's like, no, he's not. He's right there across the fucking bridge. He lives right over there. Wow. Was that an appropriate comeback? I don't know. I mean, what she said to him was really hurtful. I think it balanced. I think what he said to her was just as hurtful as what she said to him. And I know people will be like, yeah, but he's a grown-up and she's 12 years old. I don't give a fuck. I've seen too many crime shows with 12-year-olds blowing people away, killing them, murdering them, stuff like that. If a 12-year-old is going to be that cruel to him, she can get what she gives, in my opinion. So I wasn't really offended by what he said back to her, considering what she said to him. So that was an interesting little controversial scene. So Ethan is now super stressing because all of this crap, trying to take care of all of this crap while he's trying to be the maintenance man and not get fired by his aunt, who is a crony bitch, and trying to illustrate her comic book in time for it to get released by the studio, the publisher. They let him go. They're like, you're not giving us pages fast enough, and we got to go with somebody else to finish it by the production time. On top of that, the auntie, she likes to decide, I don't like you. It's not that I don't like you as a person, but you're a weak man, and you're always going to leave, so I'm just going to help you out the door. So now this dude has got to deal with not only this fight with Charlotte, having a giant poisonous spider in the house, but his wife is pissed off now. The comic book publisher has let him go as an artist on this particular project because he's not doing it fast enough. And the evil auntie has just sort of said, you can finish out the month, but I won't be paying you no more. So he's kind of really stressed out. He busts the TV, which causes the wife to do what they do. Glad y'all deal with that, not me. Charlotte ends up going in there and putting headphones on. She's got that little dog that belonged to Maria. The spider attacks, and now this motherfucker, because while the wife was bitching out Ethan for what all had just occurred, it comes across the roof, and that son of a bitch is like Saint Bernard now, okay? So she screams, he screams, it gets them both and takes them through the vent before Charlotte even realizes. Once she does realize, she had earlier found out that mothballs, which she's got a thing about. I know, everybody's got a thing about something, but mothballs? Well, why would you get a thing about mothballs? But she hates mothballs. And she ends up touching the web with one of them. because she's like, you evil mothball. I wonder what the evil mothball will do. And that's the truth. That's exactly kind of the way it was. And she finds out that mothballs, the spider hates them, it hurts them, and it even hurts, it just dissolves the web. So, secret weapon, mothballs. So, she like makes this mothball water with the blender and puts it in like a spray thing, and she goes after her parents because she knows all about this now. She ends up finding like Eric cocooned. It gets the ant in a really cool scene. Sting gets the ant in a really cool scene and drags her away. They're all being taken off and cocooned and stored, right? So the ant was stored, the mom, Ethan. Eric is stored on the roof of his room. He was still alive. So I don't know, he may have lived through this because he was still alive. I don't know if the spider got back to him and killed him or not. But they end up like, she ends up finding them. She finds Ethan. Right before she did, though, the spider came and got the aunt who was cocooned next to him. It came and got her, so she didn't live through it, which is a good thing, actually. Now, the grandmother, she's never been bothered. The one with dementia that keeps calling people, and she's kind of funny. Not that dementia's funny, but they kind of make some of her behavior funny. But the spider won't bother her. Charlotte even asked her about it. Like if something, she's like, have you seen anything weird? And she's like, yeah, there was this big black dog that kept coming up to me. And whenever I tried to pet it, it would run away. And she's like, and then she smelled of her grandmother's wrap and stuff and realized that it's the mothballs, because her grandmother keeps everything in mothballs. Which I have smelled that. I remember smelling that when I was a kid. That is an unusual smell, isn't it? Mothballs. I remember my grandmother had mothballs in the closet all the time. And it made everything smell like mothballs. It was that's why I love perfume so much, I guess. I've got 80 perfumes in my bedroom. I collect fragrances. It's a thing. Is there anything I don't collect? Good times, I think. That's about the only thing. And luck. I don't collect luck or good times, it seems. But her grandmother has not been bothered by this thing because it's like the clothes she's wearing is covered in mothball shit, right? So she does manage to find Ethan after the auntie had been killed. They try to get away, but end up falling down the garbage chute, into the skip in the basement. We've, of course, went full circle because now the grandma calling Frank's attacked. Frank ends up falling down there with them. They tell him about the mothball water that they have. He's very upset, which, if you see his face and all, he has every right to be. But he tries to get out, and he ends up, because he's using the nail gun, right? He ends up using the nail gun on Sting, but it causes some kind of electrical flare, which causes the water to come on, which washes all the mothball water off of them. The spider gets him and kills him really ugly, which was not fair. But it happens. In horror movies, especially. So Frank's dead, they're there, and then the dad gets, or not the dad, Ethan gets the idea, can we trick her into the trash compactor, right? So they go through the trash compactor to the other side, and that's where they find the baby, and they find the mom cocooned as well. So she uses the last of the mothball water to get the stuff off of them, and they're alive, and then they start trying to trick Sting into coming into the trash compactor, which it ends up doing. But of course, it doesn't work. Like it always keeps messing up. So he has to reach through the side to get to the thing because you have to bang it and basically electrocute yourself to get the thing to come on, which he manages to do, but because he's soaking wet, this time it kills him. when he did that, it electrocuted him and it knocked him on the ground dead. But it's working, and she manages to to squash Sting in the trash compactor. And the mom ends up being able to resuscitate Ethan with CPR. So, all is well and happy in the house. Until we see the other side of the trash compactor, where part of her back is, Sting's back is, and there's eggs on it. And one of them opens up, and the movie goes off. And you're like, that wasn't fair. But very expected, right? So they could definitely make a sequel. I'm okay with sequels. I'd take a sequel to this. What was the movies I just did? I just did Your Next, which was an 8 out of 10. I did Deer Camp 86, which is an 8 out of 10. And I did this. The score I gave this was 7.6, 7.5 out of 10. It was very good. It was a very, very good little creature feature. I liked some of the little drama elements. The comedy elements, like Frank, was hilarious. The aunt was a total bitch, so I liked seeing her get killed. Yeah, I liked it. Charlotte was good. Ethan was good. The family dynamics and the stuff that happened, the dramatic parts were good. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a spectacular 9.5 out of 10, but it was a pretty good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm very glad to have it. 7.5 is a good score. So, yes, that was Sting from 2024. My favorite character, I liked Ethan, and I liked Frank. I liked all of them. They were all good. Did what they were supposed to. But, yeah, I liked Frank. He was so funny. And Ethan was a good person. I liked him. Favorite scene? My favorite scene out of this movie would be when the aunt was gotten in the hallway. Yeah, I really liked that. That scared me. It made me jump. So, yeah, that would be my favorite scene, is when that. So, yeah. What you think about this movie? Favorite character? Character you hated? I hated the aunt. Character you loved? Your favorite scene from the movie? What do you think about Sting? Is it a good intro into the creature feature genre? Let me know in the comments. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. Always remember and never forget, you're a very, very special person, and don't let anyone ever tell you different. And I will see you in the next things that I do. Bye-bye.